Thank you for coming on the Athletes Podcast, man. How's your Wednesday going?
It's going wonderfully. Thank you. Appreciate you asking. How about yourself?
I'm living the dream out here on the West Coast, man. Enjoying just rain every single day for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, better than snow though.
It's debatable. It depends on who you are.
That's
maybe
great.
maybe if we were playing soccer, rain is better than snow. That's how I would put it, you know?
This is true. So what is your main sport?
Oh, that's a good question. I played golf, hockey, basketball growing up. Kind of played everything, but I don't have a specific sport. I kind of like everything, hence why I'm doing this and chatting with all these different athletes.
Sweet.
Yourself being one of the few soccer players we've had on, but I'm excited to chat with you, kind of dive into your sport, who you are as an athlete, and kind of what you're doing within the community. It's pretty incredible what you've been up to the past couple of years. So I want to maybe have you dive into who you are and tell the listeners a bit about what you've been doing over the past couple of years.
Awesome. Yeah. So Skylar Thomas, past few years, I've been playing professionally, bouncing back and forth between Canada, America, different cities. My first professional year was in Toronto. Then I went to Charleston, then Winnipeg, and then Pittsburgh over the past 6 years. It's been a great journey. I had an awesome time meeting new people, seeing new cities, playing the game that I love. And within the past few years, I also started up Kickdeck, which I'm sure we'll be diving deep into. So yeah, I appreciate you having me here. I'm excited as well.
Yeah, it's I've got so many questions. I love how community oriented you are as an athlete. And so that was one of the reasons why I was really excited to get you on. It took a while for us to get coordinated, but we're going to be out. This will be the 64th episode of the Athletes Podcast. And let's just go into it. You start playing soccer at 5 years old. You make the decision at 12 to stop playing basketball, stop playing volleyball. You dive headfirst into soccer, trying to become the best athlete you can be. And you're drafted by your Toronto home football club. How does that feel, having your name called?
That was a dream come true, honestly. That was really a dream come true. Very surreal moment, a moment that I'll never forget. Very grateful to spend it with my family down in Philadelphia. Just growing up in the Toronto area, playing soccer and having the opportunity to watch TFC play in their first game and watch the progression that they made all the way up until 2015 when I was drafted. It was just literally a dream come true, having been from the city and seeing the progression that Canada soccer and Toronto soccer has made over the past few years. Awesome moment for me and my family.
I can't even imagine what it would feel like. We've had a couple different athletes who've been drafted by their hometowns, home cities, and it would just be incredible to be able to step on that stage for you, playing in front of the greater Toronto area, representing your country, your nation, your city. I'm jealous, to say the least. Another note is you mentioned you played in a couple different cities, both Canadian and American. What's the difference? And do you notice any comparisons or any similarities, unique attributes to each city?
There's definitely a slight difference between American cities and Canadian cities. Not too much, to be honest. I feel like if I was dropped in most cities in America, I could mistake them for some Canadian cities. So there's not too much of a difference. I would say that for Toronto in particular, it's very multicultural, and that's something that's hard to find in a lot of American cities and in a lot of Canadian cities. You can go anywhere and see a whole bunch of different types of people. Which is definitely a plus for me. I love being able to step into a mall, a restaurant, a store, and just seeing a whole bunch of multicultural people. So definitely from that sense, Toronto is a bit different than most of the cities that I've been in. But for the most part, I would say that a lot of the cities in Canada and America have a lot of different similarities.
Yeah, that was one of the things I noticed in 2015 when I moved out to Toronto. It's actually, I found out it's the most culturally diverse city in the world. I think they got that designation in 2018, I think. Jordan, I don't know if you can find that out. Anyway, super cool. I love Toronto. I love the fact that you're able to be drafted there. I love that it's your hometown and you come back and you still represent it.
Yeah, real quick. So you're American, right?
No, dude, I'm Canadian, born and raised in BC, live in
Okay.
Niagara now. Yeah, Canadian. I brought up Canadian versus American because we had that big World Juniors game last night. Canada suffered the 2-0 loss.
Mm, I heard about that.
Yeah, it's tough to watch. But you know what? Things happen. They were on track to be one of the greatest World Junior teams ever. They had dominated 5-on-5. Our goaltender had been incredible, but they ran into an American team that had some swagger, that had a good
Mhm.
goalie, and
Mhm.
they put it to us.
Damn, unfortunate, but best team wins, I guess. So it's all
Yeah,
good.
way she goes. That it actually brings up a good point. How do you deal with losing? Because that's something that every athlete has to go through at one point or another in their career.
Right.
What are some of your methods to cope with losing at times?
Mhm. Yeah, losing is something that I'm all too familiar with. Unfortunately, I've been on a few losing squads, but I think losing really builds character. Through losing, you're able to learn a lot about yourself, about your team, about who you are, about who you want to be. So definitely losing. The way I deal with losing is I don't let it set into my mind for too long. Let's say 24 hours after the game, I got to get rid of it. That's winning or losing. Within those 24 hours, I'm definitely reflecting on what I could have done better, how I could have better served my team, seeing if I could have prepared better for the game. Just a lot of reflection, I would say, within the first 24 hours of losing that would help me in the future, pretty much.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. That's a good mentality to approach it with. You got 24 hours to kind of figure out, identify what you did well, what you didn't, and move on. Right,
Right.
eliminate it from your mind space and move forward. Let's get into Kickdeck because so you start playing professionally. You're drafted by TFC 2015. After
Mhm.
3 years of playing pro, you kind of figure out the ropes, how to handle it, how to time manage. So you start training some athletes, and you
Mhm.
find it difficult to get them to do work at home. Maybe you're handing them out worksheets for them to try and do when they're at home or outside, but there isn't really something for them as a resource to use. So
Right.
you decide Kick Deck is the best solution. Tell us a bit about what it is and how it came to be.
Yeah, yeah. You pretty much gave a spot on story about how it came to be down in Charleston. After 3 years, I think it was, of playing professionally, I got a better understanding of what I wanted and managing my time. And so I launched my soccer training business, UVU training. Um, and the athletes would come to me, they would go to their team training, but in between that, they really had a difficult time progressing at home and training at home.
Mm.
They would just ask me like, yo, Skylar, how do I get better at home? I'm coming to this training, it's great, team training is awesome, but I really want to keep getting it better at home. So through their ambition and through their eagerness to continue to get better, I just try to solve that problem, really. I wanted to help them as best as I knew how. I started giving them homework sheets, like you said. They worked, they were all right. They would use them a few times, but they weren't very durable. They weren't very fun. They didn't explain enough of the exercises. So one day when I was playing cards with my teammates, I was like, oh, hold up. Let me just put the exercises on this 52 deck of cards. So I just went on Amazon right after, got a blank deck of cards, a few Sharpies, started scribbling on the blank deck, and creating different exercises that they can do with just the ball and a small piece of space at home. And then about 8 months, probably around 8 months later, Kickdeck was born. It was an awesome. At the time, it was just a project. I was trying to create something special for the kids that I was training. Through the project, through the process of making it better and making the best product that I could possibly make, I decided to launch it into a business, and it's been awesome since. I'm super grateful to have the opportunity to provide an at-home training solution to kids around the world.
It's I was doing research and I love the product for a couple reasons. Number one, it's outside and kids aren't doing enough quote unquote playing nowadays, right?
Mhm.
Everyone's got technology. We're in lockdown right now because of COVID in Ontario. No one's, staying active, doing these things. People aren't getting outside training, doing the things that they should be doing because of certain circumstances. This Kickdeck allows you to do that. It gets you right outside, you're training, it's sports specific, and it's kind of fun. It's adding a little different, little different taste to it with having the playing cards there, different aspect. You can play it with friends. So I'm a huge fan. It takes away social media too, because so many kids have phones in their hands the whole time. It's just so many pros. I love it. How do you get involved with Dwayne DiRosario and Sydney Thomas on launching it? Like that, take me through the process of building a business, because it starts with Amazon cards, 52 of them, you scribbling on them, from 52 cards with Sharpie's pen on it to now a full-fledged business that you're selling to hundreds of products. How does it get to be to that point?
Yeah, it's been a long journey. From the time I had the idea to probably about, I would say 5-6 months ago, I was doing as much as I could by myself. That's what the finances, the social media, the marketing, just the whole thing. I was just trying to figure it out myself. Probably, like I said, 5 months ago, I started creating a team and helping, I guess, or having people help me with different things that I didn't necessarily want to do anymore. But yeah, reaching out to clubs, reaching out to individuals that I thought would be interested. Sydney Thomas is my father, so he was able to see the progression that I made throughout the first year in business. And at that point, he was like, I want to help you. I want to make sure that this is a worldwide global product and everybody has the opportunity to use Kickdeck. He got connected to Dwayne DiRosario's manager and gave the deck to the manager. The manager gave the deck to Dwayne. The manager kept hounding Dwayne, check out the deck, check out the deck. He's a pretty busy guy, of course.
Yeah.
He checked it out one day. He got back to the manager. The manager got back to us and said, yo, I need to talk to this guy. So we hopped on a Zoom just like this, probably the middle of the summer. Shared my story, shared my vision and my mission for Kickdeck. And he was a fan. He really liked the product. He really liked what I had to say. And he could resonate pretty well with the vision for a few reasons. We're both from Scarborough, Ontario. Of course, we both play soccer, and he has a massive passion for giving back to the youth and inspiring athletes. So yeah, we just kept communication, and thankfully enough, he is our official brand ambassador, which is a very special moment for me. I definitely grew up loving and watching him play. So to have him a part of the Kickdeck team is very special.
Yeah, it's congratulations on that, because it's not an easy feat getting someone like that to represent the brand that you created, right? Scarborough, also Akil Thomas from there, episode 18 of the Athletes Podcast. A lot of good athletes coming out of Scarborough.
Right.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I'm a huge fan of is the fact that you're trying to educate and help out the next generation of athletes in particular. And that was something when we chatted previously that resonated with me as one of your biggest goals. And so we share that in common, because, throughout the Athletes Podcast, essentially what we're trying to do is create a platform for athletes to come and listen and learn from professionals and what they're doing, the ins and outs on how to become the best kind of athlete that they can be. So one of the questions I try and ask in our episodes, especially moving forward now, is when you were aspiring to be a high level athlete, what were some of the things that maybe were misconceptions that you can think of now? Now you've gone through, you've been a pro for 5+ years. What was the biggest misconception that you had growing up that you thought you were going to be experiencing as a pro, and maybe it's not there anymore?
That's a great question. I feel like growing up, watching teams like Arsenal, Manchester United on TV, and seeing the stardom of those players, you just automatically assume that you're going to become a professional soccer player. You're going to have a whole bunch of money. You're going to live this lifestyle that you always dreamed of living. Not unfortunately, but that's just not the case for myself, at least here in North America. It's pretty difficult to, I guess, live the lifestyle of a European footballer. For myself, like I said, I've been bouncing around different teams throughout North America over the past 6 years. Some off seasons, I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to be for the next season, so that's difficult as well. And just the mental strength that you need to continue to play professional sports is something that's not for everybody. I think that's a misconception that I had growing up. You know, you just keep at it. You say, I want to be a professional player. I want to be a professional player, hoping that you'll eventually earn this lifestyle that you see on TV. In saying that, I'm super grateful for the career that I've had. It was a dream of mine at the age of 5 to play professional soccer, and I've been doing it for the past 6 years. So I'm just super grateful and happy to be able to continue to play the game that I love and fell in love with at an early age.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that we've noticed is a common trend in interviewing athletes is the fact that having a multi-sport background is so important. You know, having that diversity in the skill sets that you build, your hand-eye coordination. Can you tell me a bit about maybe what the best sport was that you were playing growing up that helped you the most with soccer in particular, or something that you did that, you know, led to you becoming a better soccer player indirectly?
Wow. Yeah, I think track and fields and cross country were huge for me. Soccer feels big. You got to be able to run for a long time. You got to be able to be fast, strong. And I think that through track and field and cross country, I was able to build that endurance, build that base level of speed, and foundation for mechanics as an athlete. I would say that those two sports, I guess, really helped me on the soccer field, and I would say continue to help me to this day.
Yeah, that's probably the reason why my soccer career didn't end up going well. I was more of a train growing up. You know, I could get up to speed, but I wasn't going anywhere fast long. You know, I was
Right.
quick spurts of energy.
Got you.
So another note that I'm trying to bring up more frequently is, you know, as health, nutrition, fitness, they kind of evolve and research and practices continue to grow. What's one thing that you used to do as an athlete growing up, thinking it was the best thing you ever did, and now you would never do knowing better? For instance, I used to neglect sleep in university. When I was going to Brock, I was like, oh man, whatever, I'll go party, I'll go study, I'll do whatever. Don't worry about sleeping. You know, over the past 2 years, I've really identified the fact that sleeping is essential, and, you know, making sure you're getting those 7, 8, 9 hours, whatever you need, is required. What's one thing that you now do that you didn't growing up?
Yeah, I think and I'm not sure if this is the right way to go about things, but at a certain age when I was growing up, I was obsessed, like just obsessed with soccer, you know, watching soccer, playing FIFA, practicing with my friends, training in the morning. Just everything was soccer. Everything was soccer. I think that I got rid of a lot of things like track, cross country, basketball, volleyball. I was really focused, and I understand now that through that focus and through that dedication and sacrifice, I was able to get to where I am today. But I feel like I'm understanding that you need to be able to turn off sometimes. You need to be able to step away from the game, rest and recover, like you said. And I think that balance is super important. Being able to step away from the game for, if it's a day, 2 days, whatever it is, a week during the holidays, allows you to recharge, reset, and gives you that extra motivation once you step back on the field, or once you get back to training. So yeah, I think the balance is very important for me right now, and it's something that I didn't necessarily do in the past.
That's a great answer. I love the fact that you were able to just pull that right off the cuff. I didn't give you any prep questions, so
Yeah, no, we're good. Yeah, appreciate that.
Any particular things you do for rest recovery outside of sleeping? Are you a big sauna guy? Do you stretch a lot? Are you foam rolling?
Yeah, definitely stretching, foam rolling is something that I do. Resting the mind is important, you know, going to bed at a certain time, making sure you're waking up at a certain time as well. I find things like meditation, journal writing really helps my mind and really helps me get things out there that maybe I was thinking about and that maybe is taking up space and tiring me out. So not only resting the body, which would help, resting the body, stretching, foam rolling, but also resting the mind, going to bed at a certain time, meditating, journal writing, I think really helps.
Yeah, Jordan just texted me back on that Toronto note. He said, Toronto is the most diverse city in the world with over 200 ethnic groups and 140 languages spoken. It's pretty legit.
Shout out to Toronto. Yeah, shout out.
How do you have other players, athletes asking you about Toronto when you go around to different cities? Obviously, you've traveled all around North America now. Any questions you get about Toronto stereotypes?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. As soon as even like Syracuse, 4 hours down the road, that's when I first left home, right south of the border. I mean, you could play around with Americans sometimes.
Tell me that. Okay, dive into that.
But yeah, like every winter we live in an igloo or I take a dog sled to school and they would play along with it. I'm not really too sure if they actually believed me, but it definitely sounded like they believed me. But yeah, no, a lot of people ask about Toronto. A lot of people have good things to say about it, whether they've been there or not. But it's definitely a city that is on everybody's travel list when I'm talking to teammates in different areas.
Have you got a particular city that's your favorite to go and visit or play in?
Geez, I really enjoyed my time in Charleston. Charleston was nice. Very underrated. It's not a LA or it's not a Miami or anything like that. But I feel like it has qualities of all those cities. This is a nice city area. You got your beach. The people there were very nice. The weather was incredible. Charleston was definitely a great place to live, great place to play, and I advise everybody to check it out. Super low key though.
Very cool. Well, Tourism Charleston just appreciates that shout out. That's cool. I wasn't expecting that answer. I like it. So I'm trying to go through here now with the Athletes Podcast and identify what makes the best athlete and what goes into, every aspect of it, the training, nutrition, recovery. Is there something in particular that you found recently that you added to your training or you added to your diet that's made a big difference?
Yeah, I like this question. I think that this is something from a branding standpoint of Kickdeck, from a product market fit. I guess communicating what makes athletes great is something that I'm trying to improve on. I guess I'm not sure if this answers your question the way you were looking for it, but I've always thought about the competition that you're constantly in with yourself and how showing up to training every day is an opportunity to become better than you were yesterday. But I think that for the most, it was brought to my attention that maybe it was my love for the game and my passion for the game that allowed me to continue to develop, continue to stay focused, continue to sacrifice. So I think the passion somebody has for their sport, why they play their sport, is really important to how far they can go with it and how dedicated they stay to their sport that they love.
So why'd you choose soccer? What made Skylar Thomas decide that at 12 years old, soccer was going to be your sport?
So yeah, when I was 5, stepped on the field. Nobody in my family played soccer. I think that I was supposed to play basketball, but soccer was earlier in the year or something. My parents said you got to start playing sports, so I just picked soccer.
They wanted you out of the house. Let's be real.
Get out of the house, go be active. So I started playing soccer. I was really good at it, and I made some good friends on my first team. It was an opportunity for me to go be active and be physical and exhaust some energy that we all have as a kid. And it gave me time. It allowed me to connect with a lot of my family. I know that my dad, my mom, being so involved in my career, it was a great opportunity for me to connect to different family members. I feel grateful that I was able to fall in love with the sport so early, or fall in love period so early. So yeah, between all those things that I mentioned, is the reason that I loved soccer and continue to love soccer.
I like it. So we posted on our Instagram yesterday, asking if any fans had questions in specific for you specifically. Sorry. So B Dennis 1193 asks, what advice do you have for a 27-year-old who's still pursuing that first pro contract? He's playing semi-pro currently.
I'm not here to break hearts, but 27 years is old. Yeah, I'm not here to break hearts. 27 years is old. I know that a lot of kids are making their debuts at 16. Of course, those are outliers, but 20, 21 is the average age in North America to become a professional soccer player. That's an assumption. Don't quote me on that. But by the age of 27, it's going to be very, very, very difficult for you to make that jump from semi-pro to pro. I don't want to tell somebody that's 27-year-olds to stop playing. I'm sure that they love the game, and it's been a huge part of their lives up until that age. Shoot.
I would agree with you. And it's a difficult thing to say, but I think that's one of the things that athletes have to kind of come to terms with at a certain point, right? And it's a tough pill to swallow. But I think that, in lieu of, and when you say something like it's probably time to identify something else. I think at that point, if you really love the sport that much, look into coaching it, look into training athletes, look into working with them from a psychological standpoint. There's so many aspects of athletics and sport that don't necessarily get looked at, and everyone thinks or wants to be the best athlete, the LeBron James, the Lionel Messi. Like, there's a lot of incredible individuals that still work in sport and work within that sport, whatever it is, soccer, basketball, hockey, and they can have a tremendous impact. So it might not be on the field scoring the goal that you have that impact, but off the field, in the training, in the garage, wherever it is, you can have a tremendous impact. So that was my 2 cents on that one.
Right. And building off that too, I mean, I'm 27 years old, and I'm constantly thinking about if playing the game is right for me. It is the right decision. It's all about weighing your priorities and thinking about what you want for your life. Yeah, at the age of 27, of course, I have a business on the side that I'm very, very passionate about. Sometimes, or more times than not, I'm more passionate about my business than actually playing. So I guess one of the things that I love about being an entrepreneur in the sports arena is I want to be able to show athletes that there are opportunity outside of sport, outside of playing sports. You can start businesses, like you said, training, coaching. There's plenty of opportunity if you love the sport and you really want to spend the rest of your life in the sport. You just got to weigh what works for you and prioritize your time.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Skylar, let's talk about Canada soccer and you guys like Alphonso Davies coming in here, representing, putting that nation's flag and doing such a good job. Talk about the growth that you've seen in Canada soccer over the last decade.
Yeah, it's been massive. With the MLS introducing Montreal, Vancouver, and Toronto. I'm not exactly sure if that was in the last 10 years, but
yeah, it might be a bit over that, I think, but that's okay. Who am I? I'm not a soccer guy.
Jordan might be on that. TFC, Montreal, and Vancouver. I'll be interested to hear when they first were in the MLS. But the introduction of those teams, the CPL, the past 2 years has been massive, providing plenty of opportunities for players, coaches, trainers, physio. That's just a huge platform to grow the game of soccer here in Canada. 2026 is massive. We'll be hosting the World Cup with Mexico and the States.
Correct. Yeah, it's the North American Turtle Island thing.
So that's been huge. I feel like ever since that announcement, the game has grown. And like you said, you just got so many high level Canadian soccer players that are not only playing in North America, but they're also on the world football stage. That is super inspiring. If I'm a 10-year-old kid right now and I'm seeing Alphonso Davies run down the line, whip the ball in the box for Bayern Munich in the Champions League, that's just inspirational. And having players like him and a few others to look up to is only going to continue to grow the game of soccer here in Canada. So it's exciting for sure.
Is there one guy in particular that you, or one male or female, sorry, that you looked up to representing Canada on a national stage that you said, I want to be like him or her?
Canadian football, you're saying?
I mean, anyone. I like to try and keep it within Canada, but a guy like Vince Carter for basketball players growing up in Canada was massive. Steve Nash. Is there a soccer player that was equivalent for you?
For sure. Shout out to Vince though. When I was growing up, definitely Vince Carter, posters on the wall, a whole bunch of Raptors gear. Vince Carter was the man, still is the man, but definitely I think Dwayne Derrizero, he was a huge inspiration for myself, a lot of my peers here in the GTA area, Canada and America, I would say. Legend growing up from Scarborough with the history or the story that he has. He's just a huge inspiration to a lot of footballers when I was growing up and today.
Gotcha. There we go. Jordan's on it. It took him, 2 minutes? TFC was founded in 2007. Montreal was founded in 2010, same year as the Vancouver Olympics. And the Whitecaps were founded in 2009. So just over that 10-year mark for a couple of them. But yeah, it's incredible. I'm excited to see where Soccer Canada is in 10 years, the same way, if we see the same growth and effort that they've put into hockey or basketball, Soccer Canada is just going to flourish as well. So an exciting time to be involved in the world of soccer, specifically in Canada, but all sports, really. Honestly, we're just growing as a nation. It's super exciting. I'm glad I'm able to share Canadian stories more specifically. That's one of the things I'm really trying to do here with the Athletes Podcast. And the way we wrap up every episode, Skylar, is we ask the athlete what their biggest piece of advice would be for the next generation of athletes. And I know you've probably got a million pieces, but what's your top one?
I think that I kind of touched upon it. Just your passion for the game, why you love the game, that will continue to fuel you throughout your career. There's been many times throughout my career, whether it's being released from a team, not making a team, somebody telling me I wasn't good enough. But my passion for the game, my fuel to continue to play and continue to get better has been the main contributor to my success. So I feel like if I had anything to say to the younger athletes, the generation of tomorrow, just know why you play the game, continue to stay passionate, be honest with yourself, and your love for the game, your passion for the game will open up a boatload of opportunities. I've been lucky enough to go to school because of my passion on a full scholarship, travel the world, meet a whole bunch of people from different backgrounds because of my passion. Your passion for the game, whatever it is, and it may not even be a game, it may be an instrument that you love playing, you may love to dance, you may love art, whatever it is, your passion for whatever it is going to take you a long way and provide a lot of opportunity for you throughout your life.
I love it. Great answer. Skylar, I love what you're doing. I appreciate everything you're doing for the sport of soccer, for Canada as a whole, and for young athletes growing up. I think what we're going to do here is I'm going to buy one of these Kickdecks off of you. I'm going to let whoever screenshots this episode right now and post it up on their social media. We're going to do a little giveaway one of your Kickdecks and try and grow the sport of soccer, continue in doing what you're doing. Skylar, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you again. And we look forward to chatting with you in the future and seeing where you continue to progress your career, both on and off the field.
Awesome. Love that. And I really appreciate it. I just want to tell you that I really love what you're doing. I know that athletes in my position are quite unsure with what they want to do outside of actually playing their sport. And just giving the athletes an opportunity to come on your show, express how they feel, educate everyone else that may be listening. It's a great thing that you're doing. I really appreciate it, and keep up the awesome work.
I appreciate those kind words. A great way to end it. Thank you again, Skylar.